Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Great to be with you. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're having a good day wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show, and whatever you may be doing, coast to coast and worldwide. We're worldwide because we stream every day up onto 4 different platforms, but, you know, we're, what would you say, Gary, 60-some plus markets now across the U.S.?
Yes.
All right.
We just added one.
Good. We'll talk about that. And always growing, always trying to improve, always room for improvement. And that's what we're doing around here, not only with the technical aspects of the show, but also with its content and our ability and how it's presented and what we say and how we say it. And all of those things, always reflecting upon that. And there's always room for improvement, no matter what, right? And it's all good. I was watching the news conference yesterday with Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's the physician that attended, who's Mr. Trump's, President Trump's physician. Dr. Jackson was also President Obama's physician as well. And it was an interesting news conference. It went on forever. Oh, my gosh. Over an hour, I guess it was, whatever. And it was, all in all, a good report. And then I listened to Dr. Sanjay Gupta's analysis of the labs that were reported. And Dr. Jackson, Ronnie Jackson, described President Trump's health as excellent. Dr. Gupta took some issue with that. And primarily because over the past several years, President Trump's calcium scores have at least tripled. Calcium score is an indication of coronary artery disease. And he's on Crestor, and they increased his amount of Crestor, the dosage. And they gave him a stress test, an echocardiogram, and so on. He came out fine. But the fact of the matter is, according to Dr. Gupta, is that the president has heart disease. His calcium score is 139. I should check that. It's over 100. When a calcium score is over 100, you are a candidate to have a coronary event within 3 to 5 years. I bring it up because these data, everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people get these same kinds of tests, and how you interpret the findings determines the treatment and prognosis and what you do going forward for yourself. A calcium score of over 100. He was way over 100. Can you check that for me, please?
Yeah, I'm looking for it right now.
Calcium score for the president I think it was 139 or it was in the 130s. That's a high calcium score. And several years ago, they identified the coronary artery disease. That has not gone away. Now, he did perform well on the stress test and the echocardiogram and whatever other tests they did. So Dr. Gupta's concern was, I guess, reading between the lines and what he had to say, I'm not so sure he would have characterized the president's health as excellent. And by the way, the president is, I think, 1/10 of a point away from being obese.
His BMI is 29.9, and his calcium score is 133.
I was off. Okay, 133, and he's 1/10 of a point away from being classified as obese. He doesn't exercise, and his diet is abysmal, as reported. It's from the reports. And Dr. Jackson said he's going to try to work with the president in trying to improve his diet and exercise regimen. Said that the president's inclined to work with the diet, but not too enthusiastic about the exercise part. I get that. If you have a client that is borderline, I mean, you're 1/10 away from being on a BMI index scale, you'd be classified as obese, and you got coronary artery disease. I don't know if I would say excellent either, but I'm not a physician.
Can I ask you what these numbers mean real quick?
Which ones?
Okay. His blood pressure was 122/74.
Good,
what
good.
does that mean?
He's within normal range, 120/80. That's good.
Cholesterol was 223.
A little high. What was his triglycerides?
It doesn't say.
What was his total cholesterol? Was what was his LDL?
Bad cholesterol LDL level was below 120.
Okay, not too bad. That's not too bad. You have to remember he's on Crestor.
No. He 143. They're trying to get it below.
That's high.
Okay. What does that mean?
He means he has a high LDL. That's the so-called bad cholesterol that's supposed to contribute to heart disease.
Okay.
Now he's on Crestor. And so we don't know if he were not on Crestor, that score would probably be off the chain. He runs high cholesterol levels because of his diet. And he doesn't exercise. He needs to eat better and move more.
Is cholesterol affected by stress?
Absolutely. Can be. It exacerbates. Yeah. So it was interesting to listen to Dr. Gupta. I thought he was fair. Dr. Jackson, I thought, was very good. But we should be concerned about the president's heart health. And I think it's misleading to say that, to tell him that, you're in excellent health, Mr. President. I mean, there has to be some, if I were the physician, I would be saying, your scores were good, you turned out well, but you have coronary artery disease, Mr. President, and your diet is terrible, and you don't exercise, and the calcium score is of concern. And when you look at the report on calcium scores, there'll be a footnote at the bottom to say, within 3 to 5 years, you're a candidate to have some sort of coronary event, heart attack, stroke, something.
Can you predict a stroke by this, or is strokes unpredictable?
Pretty much unpredictable, but if you're running, you can put it this way: you can describe somebody as being a better or a good candidate for a stroke, or not so much.
Okay,
it's hard to know. If you have severe coronary artery disease, you darn well become a candidate for a stroke. The odds are good, or a heart attack, some coronary-related event. If I had a calcium score of 133, I'd be concerned, me personally. No matter what the stress test said, or no matter what the echo said.
What is this? Is the stress test the one where you get on the treadmill?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And what is the echo?
The echocardiogram. Take a look at the heart. It's just, it's interesting how these findings are being reported. I'm just saying, I don't think you do the president a favor by saying everything's just dandy. It's not. You have heart disease, man. You have heart disease. Cardiologists would be concerned. I'm sure of it. If there's a cardiologist listening, call him. Dr. Mitchell is my guest. He's up at bat. He's in a bat, getting ready to step into the batter's box. We'll throw him a fastball. He always hits them. LTN, coast to coast.
I'm Joy McCarthy, holistic nutritionist, and I expect more from my multivitamin. I've researched many vitamins, and what's truly different about Every Woman's One Daily from New Chapter is that it's fermented with probiotics and whole foods and gentle even on an empty stomach. Every Woman's One Daily helps you feel good every day, giving you immune, energy, and stress support, and nutrients for bone and heart health. You will notice a difference. Every Woman's One Daily recently won the Best Multivitamin Award, and I love that it's non-GMO project verified. Discover the wisdom of nature with New Chapter.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce.
Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Great to be with you. Thanks for tuning in. As always, we appreciate you and we appreciate your listenership. Dr. Jason Mitchell is my guest today. Dr. Mitchell is a friend and colleague, known him for a long time. And several years ago, he ventured off and started his own company called Probiotics. And when you do those kinds of things, you never know. And guess what? He's doing all right. And we're happy for him, and because he makes, they're making wonderful digestive care products, and now even some cosmeceuticals, if you want to call them that. And we're always Pleased to have him on. Dr. Mitchell, welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. Happy New Year. And I hope your New Year's off to a good start.
Thank you, Dr. Garshall. It's nice to be here.
Yeah. So just wanted to get your take on it. If you had a calcium score of 133, would you be concerned? Personally.
I can't say that I'm exactly, 100% on all the test scoring and different things of that nature, but what I looked up when I was listening to what you were saying about a calcium score, no, you know what, based on the information I can gather, no, I probably wouldn't be okay with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I would say that you're at risk. And, your colleague there asked the question, can you predict a stroke and different things of that nature or cardiovascular-related events? And, your answer was perfect. It's, no, you can't. But, man, when your risk factors are in a higher percentile, I think your risks are pretty solid, and you should be very concerned. I think politically, though, anybody that works for you, if you're the boss and somebody that works for you is actually coming in to give you bad news, chances are you're probably going to be a little bit safe about what you say, especially if it's something that has to be put out into the media. So, unfortunately, I believe there's a little politics at play because any normal cardiologist probably would have said something completely different.
I don't think it was fair to the president.
No, I don't either.
I don't think they did him a favor by saying, Mr. President, given his personality and the way he's wired, he likes success and achievement and all that. Your health is excellent, Mr. President. Nothing to worry about. Saying that to him, you didn't do him a favor. I don't know what Dr. Jackson. Dr. Jackson supposed to be a very good physician. I don't know what he said to him privately, but at news conference, you'd think that this guy's just the president's just totally fine, nothing to worry about. That Dr. Gupta gave a more reasonable and fair, realistic assessment, and said he needs to be concerned. He's got coronary artery disease.
Absolutely.
So there you go.
Nobody wants to tell the king he's naked. Just saying.
Well, yeah, but when someone's on a medication that's there to mediate cholesterol, and then saying a person's cholesterol is a healthy level, I know that's a little concerning to me personally.
I told Gary, I said if the president wasn't on Crestor, I'll bet you his total cholesterol would be pushing towards 300, way over 250 at least. I know that Crestor will lower that cholesterol level. Nevertheless, we want the president to be in good health, and we want people to tell him the truth, so that he can take better care of himself and quit eating burgers in bed like he's been doing lately. But that all aside, he is the president of the United States. He's our president, and we want him to take care of himself. Anyway, I know you take care of yourself. You work at it, don't you?
I'd like to think that I work at it as best I can, given a busy lifestyle and so forth. But I try to maintain as healthy of an approach to our mealtime as possible, and try to work in as much exercise as I can a week. I'm definitely at a minimum of, between 5 and 7 hours a week of working out or exercise, whether it be running, biking, or lifting, or things of that nature. So I try to stay in shape, the best I can. But in life, we're busy. So the best thing you can do is to make the most, I guess you could say, take the best approach to maintaining health as you can and not feel guilty about the shortcomings. Yeah, guilt, unfortunately, begets stress, and stress is worse than any of it. So
I know. Well, you're a young man, and I think you're my daughter's age, but your whole future's in front of you, and I don't need to tell you, you need to take care of yourself. You do. You're amazing. What do you have on your mind for the start of the new year to share with the listeners and viewers of Let's Talk Nutrition Coast to Coast and worldwide?
Well, it's kind of funny. We always inevitably end up in this whole New Year's resolution scenario, and it's almost like a broken record every year that we talk about New Year's resolutions, And one of the things that you and I have talked about many times is that instead of going on a diet, which the root word is die, I'm not really keen to that word diet. I'm really a fan of a word that I didn't come up with it. I didn't coin it. A very good friend of mine coined it personally, was that I try to inspire people to instead of be on a diet, be on a live it, and to live it out every day, not just at the time of year when it's trendy to be in that New Year's resolution. There's nothing wrong with making a new pact with yourself that you're going to make you're going to put forward a step in the right direction as it relates to your health and wellness. But I just think it really needs to be an attitude that we are moving towards that every day. Just looking at what you eat. If it comes in a box or a can or a freezer bag, it probably shouldn't be your first choice. If it comes from something that was rooted in the ground and it truly had value, and it's a fruit, a vegetable, a seed, legume, a sprout, and lean meats and things of that nature, and minimal dairy, I think you can safely bet that you're probably moving at least in a better direction. And I try to encourage people that it's not difficult to live healthy, but it's not necessarily the most convenient thing based on the way we're currently living today. So making a new pact with yourself to take just a little bit more care in how you shop and what you buy and how you cook, it really isn't difficult.
I know.
Healthy.
It's very difficult for people to change their habituated behaviors, and it seems especially difficult when those behaviors are unhealthy ones. Like smoking, drinking, eating cookies, crackers, cakes, chips, and colas and whatnot. Come back, Dr. Mitchell will share with you how you can get off to a better start on better grounding and footing for 2018. He knows a thing or two about how to do that. Trust me.
The perfect complement to your beauty regimen? Try Form Essentials Zinnia. The finest of its kind, Zinnia offers twice as much biotin as other formulas, which has proven to unlock the vibrancy in even the dullest of hair, skin, and nails. Zinnia breaks through and rejuvenates cells internally, helping you achieve the allure of effortless beauty. Reviving your hair, skin, and nails has never been easier. This essential blend of biotin, alpha-lipoic, and hyaluronic acid, collagen, and vitamin C creates lasting enhancements to your natural good looks. Don't go on wondering. You're worth the results. This combination of ingredients can only be found in Zinnia. Pamper yourself with a proven bit of affordable luxury and start looking your best. Ask for Zinnia by name at your nearest vitamin retailer to begin your journey to restored nails, head-turning hair, and radiant skin today. For more information, visit formessentials.com.
When your alarm goes off, do you jump out of bed with excitement? Or does it take multiple alarms, a few snooze buttons, or a morning caffeine fix to get you going? These habits and daily stress cause a vicious cycle in which sleep becomes increasingly elusive. In fact, 54% of Americans report struggles to fall or stay asleep. For a better night's rest, look no further than Solace, an all-natural dietary supplement that supports healthy sleep and relaxation, so you get the rest you need to wake up clear-eyed, alert, and ready for the day. Solace has given thousands a better night's rest and the power to take back their mornings while enjoying the day ahead of them. Solace is formulated with non-addictive, scientifically proven, all-natural ingredients that support sleep and relaxation, such as melatonin, tryptophan, and 5-HTP. For more information or to order Solace, visit takesolace.com. Solace, for healthy sleep naturally.
Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition 2018. Dr. Jason Mitchell, naturopathic physician, is my guest today. Known Dr. Mitchell a number of years. And Dr. Mitchell, I'm going to cut you loose. And I know you have something you wanted to serve up off that menu you have in your head. So go ahead.
Well, you know, we were just talking about New Year's resolutions and health and wellness and so forth. And, you know, in one of the areas that I think sometimes becomes a dumping ground for toxins is based on, you know, as our digestive system. And our digestive system, unfortunately, has to deal with all the foods, whether they be processed, refined, what I call bioengineered frankenfood. And we deal with these things, you know, and it's seemingly, you know, doesn't create any hazard for the body because the body has an amazing ability to break down, digest, and do the things that it needs to do. But unfortunately, it fights small battles constantly until such a time that there's a war, and whether or not you win the war is different, you know, in every person, of course, and how long it takes to lose the war. But eating refined foods, things in boxes, cans, freezer bags, you know, when you go and buy an apple at a grocery store, it doesn't have a list of ingredients. It's just an apple. But when you buy a box of food, it'll have 100 to 200 different ingredients, when in fact all it says on the front is what, I don't know, macaroni and cheese, you know, and then you look at it and there's 100 ingredients to make macaroni and cheese. It's not real food, although it feels like it, it looks like it, but it's certainly not. And so one of the areas, Probulin, we're so focused on digestive health. I mean, it is the primary element of our business, and that if your digestive system is not working at its highest, I guess you could say, most efficient operational level, you're not going to make the most of the foods you eat, the supplements you take, and the things that you do. And so when people say, you know, I just don't have great energy level, or I'm a little backed up, or my digestive system seems to be unhappy with me, and I'm getting a lot of issues with, I don't know, reactions to foods, bloating, gas, all these different elements. Well, the use of a probiotic is something that can be an amazing tool. And it's a very simple and complex tool at the same time. To really get down to it, it's a living organism that when consumed actually transfers really amazing benefits to the human body. You know, probiotics, when introduced, the good bacteria that lives in your gut and the probiotics that are introduced by dietary supplements, these bacteria can produce digestive enzymes to help you digest your food better. It can help regulate motility issues, things like diarrhea, constipation. It can help with defending against pathogens or other things like yeast or other harmful organisms that their total desire is to create havoc or harm in the digestive system. Probiotics in the gut, in the good microbiome inside you, the good bacteria, can actually help to restore balance, and so that your digestive system will operate correctly, in which case you'll be able to, you know, make sure that you have the energy levels you want, digest the foods that you need, create the availability of resources in their most efficient manner, and do so in a healthy way. And so probiotics are an incredibly important part of what I believe should be something on the plan for everybody every day. And so if there ever was a New Year's resolution, in my humble opinion, taking care of your digestive system should be a top priority. Because any diet, or as I like to call it, a live it, that you choose to approach, using a probiotic will only help you achieve your goals better. In fact, for many of you that look at weight management as a New Year's resolution goal that a lot of people focus on, there have been numerous studies to show, one written up in the British Journal of Nutrition, others performed in animal models at University of Florida and other prominent universities around the world. They've shown that, you know what, probiotics or good bacteria can affect metabolism, can affect weight management. It's not a surprise, because when your digestive system is working better, you're processing things better. And that's also an incredibly cognitive environment, meaning there's a lot of neurological action that happens there. And so control over appetite and things of that nature are something that are truly possible. So probiotics, I believe, are probably, in my humble estimation, not just because I own a probiotic company, but because I believe that probiotics are probably single-handedly the most important dietary supplement that you can take every day.
Well stated. I had mentioned the notion of cholesterol and the president's cholesterol being very high, and there is some research. I was looking at a study. There are a number of studies, but there was one by a doctor. First name is Mitchell, no pun intended here for your last name, but his name is Dr. Mitchell Jones. He's an MD and a PhD, was the lead author on a study He's on the faculty of medicine at McGill University in Montreal, and they looked at a study. They did a study looking at the relationship between gut bacteria and whether probiotics would play a role in chronic diseases such as heart disease, and more specifically, if it would affect cholesterol levels. Turns out that there is a body of work that says that the probiotics can have an impact on LDL cholesterol. Are you familiar with that work?
I'm not familiar with that particular study that you're talking about, but when you talk about how the reabsorption cycle of cholesterol through the digestive system and so forth, is that when the gut microbiome or the microflora or the bacteria, if it's in proper balance, it wouldn't surprise me at all to find numerous benefits as it relates to cholesterol,
Sure.
not just LDL. And so when it comes to the digestive process in its totality, I mean, all the different steps of digestion, I believe that you're going to find a greater sense of efficiency if the bacteria or the gut microbiome is in balance. And a probiotic would definitely offer benefits there.
Sure.
Because reabsorption, I mean, a lot of people are using fibers as means to negate some of the reabsorption cycle process of actually
Sure.
reabsorbing cholesterols. And fiber is something that works primarily in the digestive system,
Sure.
so it's not a big surprise. And then also, fiber is what the gut bacteria eat. There's a tremendous number of links. I believe that there's a lot of theory, but I don't know that they have exact mechanisms of action, but I do believe bacteria has an effect on cholesterol and many other digestive functions for sure.
Let's go to Tampa, Florida. David, listening in Tampa. David, welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Happy New Year.
Hey, this cholesterol thing
Mm-hmm.
killed my mother. She was in excellent health, no sign of Alzheimer's, and it gives a lot of people Alzheimer's. This cholesterol-lowering drugs, first off, there's no such thing. I've heard this by people who used to be on your show before you had your show, Duke and the Doctor, and other experts. There's no such thing as bad cholesterol. There's just bad people with bad diets and bad arteries that cholesterol sticks to. God invented the liver. Your hormones come from your cholesterol. And then when they take crappy care of themselves, the drug companies come in and they found out that this stuff that gives the finger to the liver, so the liver doesn't work too well, so it doesn't produce so much cholesterol. Then the hormones go down, then they start falling apart like my mother did. And millions of other people, it's just a racket by the medical industry, according to Dr. Sinatra and many others. It's just a racket that's killing many people. It's killing more people than the Romans killed Jews. I mean, it's just designed by the devil. If people took better care of their arteries, cholesterol wouldn't stick to their arteries. It's supposed to stick to your arteries when you're taking crappy care of your arteries. It's supposed to fill those gaps.
Yeah. Well, I must say, there's a number of topics in the world of health medicine that evoke a lot of passion. This whole issue of cholesterol is one of them. We'll be right back. We'll continue. last 5 years, I would say just within the general population, more and more people are taking probiotics, not just those individuals that are focused on the natural products space, but just in the general population. You now see commercials on TV, on commercial TV, on cable. It's all over the place. I'm good with that. I know mass market sometimes is criticized for different reasons, but nevertheless, it raises awareness, and if people know about probiotics, it's all good, then we can get them on the right path. Dr. Mitchell, welcome back. At your website, Probulin, could you please give that to the audience so they know where to go?
Yeah, it's Probulin, Probulin.com. Very simple. Actually, the word is a combination of probiotic and inulin. So Probulin is Probulin.com, and we've got good information there, good blog posts, as well as information about our individual products and what makes Probulin so incredibly different and special as a probiotic to help meet your needs. So we try to have as much information as possible.
What's your best-selling SKU?
Well, you know, our best-selling product is actually a tie between our Daily Care probiotic and our women's health. And you know what's really interesting? And our colon support probiotic is our fastest growing and is soon to be tied with Daily Care and women's health without sacrificing sales. You know, our biggest claim is that when people utilize our product, the effect they have is very positive, and thus they tend to buy it again. In fact, some of the data that we have is that as many as 8 out of 10 people that try our product continue to repurchase our product on a regular basis. You know, probiotics are not all made equal. And as much as there are hundreds, if not even thousands of options on the shelf, which I think is a wonderful thing, by the way, it does not make it easy for a consumer to make a decision. And so, you know, we as a company focused on making sure that when the experience you have with our probiotic is extremely positive and one that helps to address those challenges digestively that people want to address and to help support their body properly, when they get the results that they have the expectation to receive, then they'll be back to buy it again. And we rest on the fact that our product is backed by 3 scientific studies and 2 patents. And it's all based on making sure that these living bacteria are arriving alive in the digestive system, which is really important because a lot of people don't realize that when you take a probiotic, if it doesn't have a delivery system that is properly formatted, studied, and verified, that these living bacteria may not survive exposure to stomach acid or bile or other challenges that they come up against. And our system is built to resist and overcome those challenges to deliver the most possible surviving bacteria as possible.
And
so it's really important.
It is important.
Absolutely.
So in fact, we have your website up on the screen right now for those who are streaming. And I saw you have a carousel there, and I see in the carousel you now showing just passed by was the Probulin, the cosmetic line that the 5-part system that you have there. How is that doing? How's that coming along?
Well, you know what's really interesting is there is a tremendous amount of interest in helping support the largest organ of your body, which is the skin. And what's really amazing is written up in Forbes magazine this past July in 2017. They were talking about the top 10 concepts that are approaching the market as it relates to skincare. And number 2 was the use of probiotics in skincare. See, these living bacteria don't only live inside you, but they also live on your skin. And when you apply probiotic technologies such as what we offer in our skincare products, ProbuSkin, which is our technology that's in all of our Probulin probiotic skin therapy products, which include a serum, a cleanser, a day and a night cream, and soon the eye cream will be out. These products, when applied to the skin, help to support some really important benefits by helping to speed up the skin renewal process, which means that healing, renewing element of the skin to make sure the skin is healthier looking, and then helps to reinstate moisturizing factors and support to the skin so that the texture and feel of the skin, the brightness and so on, the healthy look of the skin is what a lot of people want. And, you know, we get such great experiential feedback from consumers that have used our products. Now, these products are new. They're out in the market now only 6 months. So consumers are now becoming exposed, but I will tell you, we're making some really, truly loyal customers to not only our Probulin probiotics, but boy, the skincare is putting the cherry on top, because a lot of our consumers really like the idea of supporting their skin in a healthy way with something they trust.
Yeah, I've been using your line now for several months, and
Awesome.
and I like it. Gary can attest to it because he had to come to the house the other day and help me repair something. He's good at that kind of stuff, and he saw the products on my counter.
And I immediately said, you're using it.
I said, of course I am. So I use it along with others, and I like it a lot. I like it because when you put it on, it doesn't smell like you just doused yourself in a bunch of lily water and you stink up the place. And it's clean. They nice effect. They feel good on the skin. I like the products a lot. So I've been using it. I just wanted you to know.
Oh, well, thank you, Dr. You know, one of the things that we did is we tried to take into consideration the attitude, usage of the purchaser, and wanted to know what's important to them. And one of the things that you just mentioned a second ago is the ideology that when they put something on, they don't want there to be this synthetic fragrance used that's so overpowering that they can't even choose what they want to smell like for the rest of the day. Now they're stuck with what the product delivers. And, you know, we don't do that. We only use organic and 100% pure essential oils, things like citrus aurantium, chamomile, or lavender.
Oh, they smell, and their scent is so mellow.
Oh, absolutely.
They're wonderful, Dr. Mitchell.
Yeah, very, very, very gentle. You know, another thing that they wanted to make sure was that there weren't any synthetic ingredients, things like sulfates, parabens, phthalates, and glycols. We don't have any of that in our products. We're using, when and if possible, our products are built in a base, actually, of certified organic 100% interfilet aloe vera. We include ingredients like marula oil and shea butter and just really wonderful fruit and botanical extracts. In fact, you know, to some degree, these products are just so incredibly natural. It took me 2 years to be able to perfect the preservative system so that it stayed and maintained natural. You know, we really wanted to make sure that we took the out of unnatural as the approach of taking care of your skin. Because one of the biggest problems, believe it or not, to skin is actually what we're putting on our skin. And so because of that, we wanted to make sure that when you put something on your skin that it feels good, that it's not oily, tacky, gluey, or sticky. In fact, it absorbs very, very efficiently. In fact, after about 90 seconds to about 2 minutes, you're going to experience your skin being softer to the texture, but not actually greasy, oily, or tacky.
And I highly recommend that line of cosmetic. What do you call them? Cosmeceuticals, nutraceuticals?
We call it Probulin Skin Therapy.
There you go. I highly recommend it. I've been using it now for about 4 or 5 months, and I like it a lot. I think you will too. Sold in fine health stores throughout North America, and if they don't carry it, encourage them. They know how to find the folks at Probulin. Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. We'll be back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition 2018 edition. Hope your New Year is off to a good start. You're on good footing. Got those New Year's resolutions in play. Stick with them. I'll revisit those when I'm on solo. Talk more about these resolutions and reinforcement and how to rescue them if they are on the wane. I'll get to that whenever I'm on solo again. In this portion of the show, Dr. Michael Lewis will be along. The first time he's appeared on the show in 2018. Not the first time on the show, however, which is good. I'll see how he is doing. Like Dr. Lewis a lot. We're always looking for those guests who are reliable and trustworthy. I don't have to fret and worry about what they're going to say and misrepresent. And especially the guests who are evidence-based and science-based, I am especially, how can I say, fond of or appreciate the most because that's what this show is about. It's an evidence-based, science-based show. I know that the CDC has been directed not to use those phrases anymore. I don't understand that thinking. I don't get it, but whatever. This is an evidence, science-based show, and that's the way we like it. And I like guests who take that approach. Dr. Lewis is a medical doctor and has had an illustrious career and still is very much engaged in his career, believe me. He has a practice in Washington, D.C. We'll get to him in a moment. Saw a study this morning that I thought was of interest, would be of interest to you. It makes a connection between communication, human communication, and childhood obesity. Now, typically, somebody might not put those two concepts together in the same sentence. Of course, I have a special interest in human communication, given that my master's and PhD are in human communication, and I even took linguistics courses along the way as well. 1 in 3 children, 33% roughly, are either overweight or obese. 17% of adolescents are obese. We've seen over the last 3 decades this exponential rise in weight gain in children. And it's in direct parallel and can be correlated with the introduction of processed foods into the food culture in our country in even a more formidable way than it was in the past. And the so-called Western diet now is a highly processed, salt, sugar, fat-laden diet. And you have to have a degree in chemistry at times to read the ingredients and to understand them. It has not served us well. This study is interesting in that the researchers found that the way parents, notice my language, the way parents talk to their children could put the child more at risk for becoming overweight or obese. In human communication, there are 2 codes that are simultaneously used in an interaction with another or others: your verbal and nonverbal codes. The verbal code, of course, is the content of the message, what you say. The nonverbal, the analog dimension, as we sometimes call it, is how we say things or the way we say it. Turns out that the lion's share of the way we perceive our relationships with others and the way relationships are ultimately created, sustained, and reclaimed is through that nonverbal dimension, the way you talk to somebody. And this is almost axiomatic in the world of human communication. Given that little bit of theory, these researchers wanted to investigate the role of language in this obesity phenomenon and epidemic. They wanted to understand, they said, how the way in which we speak to our children about what they should or should not eat impacts dietary choices, close quote. I'm very intrigued. Trust me, I am so intrigued. Turns out that there was a difference. The study was published in the Journal of Nutrition, Education, and Behavior. Pardon me. Excuse me. And the lead researcher was a Dr. Megan Pesh, who's a developmental and behavioral pediatrician.
I think one of the things that's interesting about this is we talked about this last week with that TV show, This Is Us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that the study has now come out about it.
Yeah, absolutely. She says, quote, so many of the guidelines are focused on what not to do. She's talking to children and what they eat. There's a lot of emphasis on what parents should be doing and what doesn't work, close quote. So the caregiver, there were 237 mothers or primary caregivers and their children. The kids were aged 4 to 8. What's interesting, the caregivers were all from low-income homes, a demographic known to be particularly at risk for childhood obesity. We know this. So the caregiver and the caregiver-child pairs were alone in a room and were presented with different foods, including chocolate cupcakes. Oh, yum. So what they found was when the parents used direct language, such as, quote, only eat one, or, quote, you're eating both of those? No, don't. Oh my gosh, close quote. Those kinds of statements compared to the indirect phrases such as, that may be a bit too much, or you haven't had your dinner yet. The direct statements were correlated with weight gain or putting the child more at risk to become overweight or obese. Now, typically, indirect or subtle messages or pieces of communication don't seem to work well in general parenting. We know that generally. However, direct messages are used because direct messages, kids can get those, interpret them, and understand them, and they know where the boundaries are. But when it comes to eating and weight gain, not so much, as Dr. Pesh points out. Now, there are some limitations to this study. The caregivers knew that they were being filmed as part of an experiment, which could have altered their behavior. I don't think so. I've done experiments. People forget about the camera. I even forget I'm being filmed at times, even though I'm looking at myself on the camera. Don't pay attention to it. Also, lower socioeconomic backgrounds were involved. I was concerned about that. The way someone from lower socioeconomic status compared to somebody who is perhaps of a higher SES, they may interact differently, but direct statements are direct, indirect are indirect. So this is interesting. In other words, being more indirect, not being so forceful, seems to be a better communication strategy in talking to children about what they're eating and the consequence of what they're, and what's implied in those statements in terms of what's the consequence of what they're eating. I am not a big fan of forced compliance. Forcing children to finish cleaning the plate, forcing the children to eat X, Y, or Z. Doesn't work, man. You got to find other ways, and we can talk about that some other day. Dr. Michael Lewis will be on in a moment.
Almost 52% of men experience erectile dysfunction and benign prostatic hyperplasia. If you've had challenges with virility, sexual health, or low energy, Body Vigor's Alpha Extension may be the answer for you. Body Vigor's Alpha Extension can help revitalize your alpha male and extend your love. Our formula is one of the highest quality nutraceuticals available, formulated to support the processes involved in promoting a healthy male sex drive, energy, and stamina. Alpha Extension has 2 powerful herbal blends, Virilo Max, which focuses on male sexual health, and T-Pump Activator, which helps balance your testosterone levels. Revitalize your alpha male with Body Vigor's Alpha Extension, exclusively available on Amazon.com.
Michael Lewis is my guest in this portion of the show. It's always nice to have him on. He's on the medical board for CV Sciences, an educator for them, and trying to help the general public, if you will, consumers, people interested in their health, and maybe some are not so much. Persuasion is always in play. Why CBD oil, and as derived from hemp, especially the products from CV Sciences can make a difference in special and different ways relative to their health, wellness, and well-being. To the extent that Dr. Lewis has, and he's mentioned this on a show in previous interactions with him, he's integrated it into his practice. Dr. Lewis, welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition 2018, and we want to extend a happy and healthy new year to you and your family.
Well, thanks, Dr. Garko, and obviously I hope that you and your whole team down there have a happy and prosperous and healthy 2018 as well.
Mm-hmm. I just have to, given that you were in the military and a physician for so many decades, I just have to ask you, if you had a calcium score of 133, I'm talking about Dr. Lewis, would you be concerned?
Not necessarily. I'd want to look into it a little bit further and look at some of the other factors.
If I told you that your calcium score had tripled over the last 7 to 8 years, went from in the 30 range to 133, would that concern you?
Absolutely.
If I told you those facts, in addition to that, assuming that you were on Crestor and you still had a calcium score of 133, would that even concern you more?
Well, it definitely, anybody that's on a statin concerns me. And the reason why is I don't think that we understand the implications of being on a statin. We want to demonize cholesterol, but yet cholesterol is absolutely, you can't live without it. I mean, it's so vitally important for every single cell in our body, as well as we cannot form hormones, testosterone or estrogen or progesterone or thyroid, on and on and on, without cholesterol. So if we get everybody on statins and we start lowering the cholesterol, it puts you, more at risk of cancer because you don't have the necessary building blocks to continue to build your cells. But also you're risking brain health because you're screwing with the brain by decreasing the cholesterol and your hormones. And hormones influence the brain.
Okay, I just curious because that's the president's calcium score, and Dr. Sanjay Gupta, listening to the lab, he was at the news conference yesterday on the president's physician, Dr. Ronnie Jackson, giving the report on his health, and Dr. Jackson described it as excellent. Dr. Gupta from CNN had some reservations. I would too. Dr. Gupta said the president does have coronary artery disease, and he's 1/10 of a point from obesity on a BMI scale. I don't know if they did the president a favor yesterday by telling him that it's excellent, nothing to worry about. I'm just saying, I was just curious, given that I respect you, and I know that you're a serious-minded physician and you take care and you take your time and you're thoughtful, and I was just curious as to what you thought.
Well, my biggest thought is that I was not in the room with the physician and the president, and therefore, none of us are qualified to make any real assessment, from the armchair.
There you go. That's just the way I described you. You just demonstrated. You just proved my point. So, what's new at CV Sciences?
Well, there's lots of things that are always new, and of course, what's going on at CV Sciences and in the hemp industry and the cannabis industry and the larger picture, you can't divorce that from what's going on around the country and politics and everything else. California just came out, January 1st with recreational marijuana laws, enacted for starting January 1st. So that's something big. I mean, the World Anti-Doping Association, as of January 1st, no longer has CBD on their banned substance list.
Oh, wonderful.
So NFL, MMA, FIFA soccer, the Olympics, they will no longer be testing for CBD.
Wonderful. Oh, well, we're making progress.
We are making progress.
Moving out of the shadows of ignorance, aren't we? You like that?
One step at a time.
You like that?
One step at a time.
The shadows of ignorance. Some would say darkness. Darkness of ignorance. You have integrated the compound into your practice, haven't you?
I have.
And can you share without violating doctor-patient communication and whatnot? What's happening with patients taking it?
Well, you and I on Let's Talk Nutrition have had numerous conversations about fish oil, and that's certainly how my reputation is kind of based a lot recently on my work with fish oil and helping people recover with traumatic brain injury and concussions. But so interestingly enough, pretty universally now, what I get back, the feedback I'm getting from patients is that fish oil stuff is really, really good, but that little CBD pill that you've got me taking has been life-changing.
Wow. All right, when we come back, we'll find out what they mean by life-changing. And Dr. Lewis he's going to get you to some websites that I highly urge you to go to them in a minute, and we'll come back from messages. And he's an expert in brain injury and has written a book. We'll get him to talk about that. I'm a big fan of CV Sciences. They're a great company. When we come back, we'll go to Westchester, New York. Hank is there. What? I'm sorry, Westchester, Pennsylvania. We'll talk to Hank. Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition 2018, coast to coast and worldwide. Dr. Michael Lewis is my guest. He's on the medical board at CV Sciences and an educator for the company, and knows a lot about CBD oil and uses it in his own practice. Let's go to Westchester, Pennsylvania, and talk to Hank for a moment.
Good
Hank,
morning, gentlemen.
Hey, Hank, how are you, man? Happy New Year.
Thank you. You too. Both you doctors, Happy New Year.
Thank you, man.
First, I want to compliment you guys on prompting me to eat a healthy lunch and supper for tonight. I'm honest to God on my honor. I never say another word. I've got some 15-bean soup here I pulled out of the freezer, and some salad I'm going to make up for lunch and supper today, and served with the worst thing is a cinnamon bun with raisins on it for dessert.
Okay, well, you can ditch the cinnamon bun. I would probably, some dark chocolate would be good for dessert.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea. I'll do that with raisins.
If I recall, you had a smoking issue.
Yeah, you're right.
How are you doing with that?
Well, I'm not as fast as I would like, and this is where I guess maybe I'm looking for some encouragement from both of you, please. What I have done was I have cut down drastically or dramatically from what I had been doing before you and I initially spoke, Doc, a couple months ago.
Yeah.
How I've done it was I was smoking as much as two packs or more a day, and I was rolling my own. They were the 100 millimeter size.
Yeah. What are you down to now? What are you down to now?
About a pack or 3/4 of a pack of the king size rather than the 100 millimeter.
Okay. So let me ask Dr. Lewis. Dr. Lewis, quitting smoking is a formidable task. I'm sure in your career you've come across that with patients. You have any ideas about that?
That's a really interesting thing. We can tie it all together here, because one of the things that CV Science is working on and going through the FDA pharmaceutical process is a combination medication that involves CBD to help people stop smoking.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I assume that it's working on certain parts of the brain that would be where the mechanism of action is happening, right?
Well, as you know, smoking is, there's both physiological addiction to the nicotine, and there's the psychological part of smoking, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly enough, there's some great science out there that shows that why and how CBD has got tremendous value in addiction medicine in general. So, whether we're talking about and there's very specific studies looking at heroin addiction, opioid addiction, and even marijuana addiction, that CBD can be really helpful in overcoming those addictions, and smoking is just another addiction.
And there is some, if you go on, Hank, if you go onto the web, onto the internet, you will see there are some, you have to be careful now. There are some conversations about CBD oil and quitting smoking. Given the limited science, it wouldn't hurt maybe for you to experiment with yourself a bit with the CBD oil, using CV Science's the CBD oil Gold in the gel cap. And nothing to lose. You can try and see if it moderates your psychological and psychological temptation and physiological dependence, and psychological dependence for that matter, on smoking, the nicotine. You can give it a try. I don't know if you've ever considered that or tried it. It's worth a shot. Who knows? I don't know. There's not enough compelling science to say, well, there's a strong correlation between using CBD oil and moderating smoking. I don't think we're there yet.
Okay.
So I would give that.
Thank you for your time, gentlemen. I appreciate it. And again, keep up the good work.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
See ya. I guess you have patients that smoke. It's hard to get them to quit, isn't it, Dr. Lewis? Very difficult.
It is. I don't have as many patients that smoke as I would have thought, but maybe it's because I don't know, but I'm actually quite pleasantly surprised that very few of my patients actually smoke.
Well, good. You don't have to deal with that because it's insidious. It does so much. That's a story for another day. But lately, you've been talking. I know that you give talks and whatnot. What are some of the themes that you present to audiences about CBD oil and generally? What themes are dominate or overarching in your thinking and narrative about it?
Well, you can't talk about CBD oil without talking about our endogenous or endocannabinoid system. Basically, those receptors throughout our body, the most abundant amount of receptors in our brain, our immune system throughout our body, that literally control how we think, how we feel, and how we react to everything. And so nature gives us that way to interact with that through the cannabis plant, and CBD in particular. And so we have our own endogenous system to, a runner's high, if you think about it. We used to always call them endorphins and things like that. That's our cannabinoid system, and that's exactly what CBD can do, is to help with that. And I find most value in helping calm people down, as far as anxiety or just providing a sense of calm. There's great studies for performance anxiety, for example, that CBD works really, really well, as opposed to using beta blockers or something like that.
Mm-hmm. So people can take it to sort of moderate anxiety? Is that what you're suggesting?
Absolutely. And I would say pretty close, if not 100% of my head injury patients have some issue with anxiety. And if they don't, they'll develop it. It's just a given with head injuries. And so CBD works hands down better than any pharmaceutical I've ever come across. And in fact, the onset of action is usually about 15, 20 minutes and will last, the half-life is somewhere around 6-7 hours. And
wow.
So just starting off your day with, say, a plus CBD oil gold soft gel, gets your day moving well, and if you can get through the first half of your day without having anxiety issues, you're probably going to do well for the whole day.
And by the way, quitting smoking, when people are trying to quit, anxiety can be induced, and maybe the CBD, if nothing else, could moderate some of that anxiety as you're trying to quit smoking and wean your body off the nicotine. Just a thought as I'm trying to pull threads together. We come back, we'll have the LTN Health Question of the Day and continue our conversation with Dr. Michael Lewis.
Women who are pregnant or planning to have a child have specific nutritional needs. Maintaining optimal nutritional intake is important for mother and baby. Body Vigor's Preferred Prenatal can help mother and baby receive the appropriate building blocks for growth, development, and healthy function. The Preferred Prenatal formula provides essential vitamins and minerals, along with added support ingredients such as folic acid and DHA. Preferred Prenatal also incorporates a bonus herbal blend to help the mom-to-be with the uncomfortable side effects of pregnancy, like nausea, vomiting, mood swings, and uterine health. Support a healthy pregnancy for you and your baby with Preferred Prenatal, exclusively on Amazon.com.
direct approach or the indirect approach? Which one tended to put the child less at risk? The direct approach or the indirect approach? Here's the number to call to win the prize.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255 or anywhere in the world at 813-636-8255.
Okay. Doctor-patient communication, by the way, I've published a couple of studies in that area. How we talk to people makes a difference, right, Dr. Lewis? Yes. In addition to moderating anxiety, have you found any, from a clinical standpoint, notwithstanding the literature and the findings in the literature, have you found from a clinical standpoint benefits to patients from taking other benefits for patients?
Well, we could go on and on about this for 10 more shows, so we'll just have to plan that one out. But, actually, things that you wouldn't think about, such as recovery from exercise. CBD is really helping people, including my own family, notice a big difference, that muscle soreness after some intense exercise, that CBD can actually really help with that.
What about, is there any work relative to CBD oil and appetite?
Well, just by the absolute nature of what CBD does. So if you think in terms of marijuana, and we always think about, smoke marijuana and you get the munchies. Well, that's the THC that's stimulating the appetite, which is why cancer patients sometimes are prescribed Marinol, which is a synthetic THC, to stimulate their appetite. CBD does the opposite. It balances it. It keeps you from eating too much. So there's actually great research that shows that CBD decreases appetite and has a potential role in obesity, management or weight management.
Well, that's interesting. Wow. Right. By the way, lest there's confusion, CBD oil, as it's derived from hemp, is not THC. It's not marijuana. Yes, there's a relationship to the plant, but we're not talking about medical marijuana here. That's a different topic, different theme, different compound, different all the way around. Right, Dr. Lewis?
Right. What we're talking about is industrial hemp that's grown like in farms. It grows like bamboo, and grown and harvested in a single season. The entire plant is used, and by law, has to have only trace amounts of THC or none at all. So 0.3% or less THC in the whole extract. And so completely different animal. You can buy hemp at your local grocery stores, for example. So it's ubiquitous.
Mm-hmm. And hemp, of course, in a natural product space, we have hemp-based protein products. You can get powdered protein made from hemp, hemp put into different foods, and so on. Consumable, yes?
Absolutely. And it's interesting. I always like to point out when I'm giving a lecture just some of the history behind it. It's been around for thousands of years. Every ancient culture used hemp as medicinal and so on. And I think I probably said this on your show before, is even in the 1700s, the Commonwealth of Virginia passed a law requiring all their farmers to grow hemp and penalize them if they didn't. And so George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and James Madison and so on were all hemp farmers.
Now we penalize them if they do. How things change. Here's the LTN health question of the day. Is it better to use direct messaging or messages with children in trying to keep to manage what they eat, or is it better to use indirect messages? Let me frame the question that way. Better to be direct or indirect if you're trying to manage what a child is eating, right? Like if they want and eat that cupcake right before dinner. Would you take a direct approach or an indirect approach in what you say to the child, which turns out to be a better approach? Here's the number.
You can reach us at 877-897-8255, 877-897-8255.
Trying to think of a hint. Sometimes, you do like instead of going right at it, you go try to get at something from another angle. You know what I'm trying to say. You can speed dial it. If you get the call in before we get off the air, we'll still give you credit, and you can win the prize, a $25 supplement gift card. Dr. Lewis, please extend our best wishes to everyone at CV Sciences, and tell Stuart we asked about him. Are you going to be going to Expo West?
I am not. I've got a couple of other things going on, including the Integrative Health Symposium in New York in February, and just kind of traveling all over these days.
Real quickly, a website that people can go and read about your book?
Well, When Brains Collide, you can find it on Amazon. WhenBrainsCollide.com is another way to get there. And for the best products in the CBD world, I would say PlusCBDOil.com. That's PlusCBDOil.com.
PlusCBDOil.com from CV Sciences. Dr. Lewis, thank you so much. We have a caller.
You're welcome, Darko.
Thank you very much. We have a caller, and Stephen will take the call. If the person has the right answer, we'll award the prize. They have the answer? Yeah. Oh, he's going to pick it up. Take care of yourself. Remember, your health is your wealth, and your health is the wealth of those that care about and love you.